I decided to follow up the Jussie Smollett situation with a video basically in regards to his situation. Now, in my previous video, I chose to believe Jussie Smollett's account of events where he basically reported that he was a victim of hate crime and, basically had homophobic slurs against him as well. Now, like many heterosexuals like myself and many others around the world, we are often being labeled as unsympathetic with no empathy for those of the LGBT community. Now, here is one instance where Jussie Smollett's situation has actually garnered support from all sections of society, from the different groups, if you may, and myself included. But it's now looking increasingly like the story that's coming from Jussie Smollett's camp is not as truthful as we were led to believe.
I'm pissed off.
What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks. It's like, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth. And then it became a thing of like, oh, it's not necessarily that you don't believe that this is the truth. You don't even want to see the truth.
The reason why people don't believe you, Jussie, is because you're not very convincing in your answers. People are looking at all the turn of events and it doesn't add up. And increasingly throughout this interview, it looks like your story is wishy-washy at best. Now, the police department, Chicago, also have their doubts. But they kind of concealed it and had it to themselves because they wanted to get certain response from you first so they can compare notes to decide how to proceed against you or believe you. So, your story wasn't convincing enough. A lot of turn of events just didn't add up. It didn't make sense. The dots were hard to connect. And whilst I'm not going to, at this point, throw you under the bus and call you a liar, an outright liar, increasingly your statements and your responses are highly doubtful, and that's enough for people to not believe you. So, that's the reason why people don't believe you, Jussie, because your story's got lots of holes in it.
What happened that night, Jussie?
When I landed in Chicago, and Frank Gatson, who's like my uncle, and he's also my creative director, and he picked me up, and then we got back to the apartment. There was no food, and so I went out to Walgreens thinking that they were 24 hours and to have a smoke. Walgreens was closed. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm gonna run to Subway, which was across the street, and I'm gonna get a salad. Do you want anything? I went to the Subway and got the order. During that time, I texted my manager thinking that he was still in Australia because he was on an Australian tour with one of his other clients. Mm-hmm. And I said, yo, call me when you can. He called me immediately. And while he was on the phone, I heard, as I was crossing the intersection, I heard Empire. And I don't answer to Empire. My name ain't Empire. And I didn't answer. I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, did you just say to me? And I see the attacker.
Okay, so there's quite a lot to unpack here, actually. So let me just start quickly. Now, the first thing is Jussie said he had to go to Walgreens to get some food or get a bite to eat because, back in his apartment when he arrived, there was no food in the house. So, okay, fine. Now, if you live in this area, you should be familiar with the stores around you. And I would like to think that you are familiar with this particular store because in my previous video, I've seen the name of the same, supermarket or store that you've just mentioned on a paper bag. So that tells me that you frequent that store. So you would have an idea or a good idea of the opening and closing times on a particular day of that particular store. The second point is, okay, so you went across to Subway, to get a bite to eat instead. Now, here's my second question. You're a celebrity, and as a celebrity, I find it hard that celebrities are walking around 2 a.m. in the morning, especially in the freezing cold. But put the cold to one side. 2 a.m. in the morning, or even any time of the day, by yourself, without any security, without any members of your family or friends or anyone within your circle or entourage accompanying you to the store, you're leaving yourself vulnerable. You know, safety and security is something I would have thought that most celebrities and their inner circle would take seriously. So for you to put yourself at risk like that is highly questionable to me. And that says something about your circle as well, because if I was a celebrity, I'm assuming that, you know, you would have people in your circle that would say, listen, you can't go out on your own and go and get a sandwich or get a, you know, a box of milk or pack a cigarette or whatever the case may be, because of who you are. You're not ordinary Joe Public. So therefore, we're going to send someone out to get the items you need. Or if you feel you want to go because you want to have a walk and so on and so forth, then someone needs to accompany you in terms of security to make sure that you're safe and you're secure. So I just find it really weird that you were allowed even to go out on your own at that time of the morning, you know, to go to the store. And then when one store was closed, you had to, you know, go over to Subway. So those are very doubtful for me. And it does raise questions about how your camp operates and what's going on in terms of your inner circle, or the people that's sort of, you know, your day-to-day people that, you know, move around with you. That is very dodgy in my opinion. Someone needs to, your security seems to be not as up to par as it should be for a celebrity.
Masked, and he said, this MAGA country punches me right in the face. So I punched his ass back. And then we started tussling. You know, it was very icy, and we ended up tussling by the stairs. Fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And then it just stopped. And they ran off. And I saw where they ran.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, there's more stuff to unpack here. Now, the first thing is, as suddenly as these guys randomly start, you know, insulting you, and you responded with, what did you say to me? That obviously responded in them reacting violently towards you, which you alleged. And as randomly as they, you know, singled you out and you got into a kerfuffle, excuse me, I'm trying to contain myself. I know it's not funny, but it really is funny. Contradiction there, but hey, you can't make this stuff up, man. So as randomly as they single you out and attack you, is randomly they just stop to run off. Okay, right. I don't know what to say to that, Jussie. I really don't. So let's just continue.
And the phone was in my pocket, but it had fallen out, and it was sitting there, and my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, Brandon, and he's like, what's going on? And I said, I was just jumped. And then I looked down and I see that there's a rope around my neck, which I hadn't.
You hadn't noticed it before?
No, because it was so fast. You know what I'm saying? It was so fast.
How long did this all
It felt like minutes, but it probably was like 30 seconds, honestly. I can't tell you, honestly. I noticed the rope around my neck, and I started screaming. And I said, there's a rope around my neck.
Did you get any kind of description of the attack?
I gave a body description, and I, you know, because I saw this, and you know, right here or whatever, but I didn't see, I can't tell you what color their eyes were. I can't tell you, and I did not see anything except the second person I saw running away. And the first person, yeah, I saw his stature. I gave the description as best as I could. You have to understand also that it's Chicago in winter. People can wear ski masks and nobody's gonna question that.
The police have gone through a lot of video and they were able to capture an image of two people of interest. Have you seen that image? Mm-hmm. And do you believe that they could possibly be the attackers?
I do.
What is it about their size, or why do you feel that they could possibly be?
Because I was there. For me, when that was released, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them.
Oh my, okay, so you didn't get a good look at these assailants because, you know, it all happened so fast, so quickly, and you barely made out their eyes, and the other one, you know, you only saw a basic structure of the frame, the body frame, as that person ran off and ran away. Now, okay, you know, in a fight, you would sort of not notice everything, but you would at least notice something about the assailants that you've involved in this kerfuffle with this fight. Okay, let me keep it together. But yeah, so that's fine. But here's the thing, though. You're then being shown a very fuzzy and blurry, dark photograph of the two persons of interest, and you immediately, with no shadow of a doubt in your mind, they are the guilty parties. Right, that's contradictory. I don't know if anyone can see what's wrong here. So with your own two eyes, you know, in real term, when you were fighting these guys, you know, you couldn't make out much. But then when you're shown a very blurry, very sketchy, very fuzzy, dark photograph, you immediately say, yeah, I have no doubt in my mind, those are the guys. Yes, we're getting somewhere. That to me is contradictory. That logically don't make any sense to me. I would more go by the limited information you see in person when you were fighting these dudes, as opposed to the less than limited information you see in a very fuzzy, blurry and dark photograph. I mean, that's just my take on it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's that. I'm sorry, that's another big hole in your whole interview response, Jussie. So you need to really sort of you know, take some consideration in the way you're responding in this interview, because it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. Your situation is becoming untenable by the second.
Never did.
Why did you hesitate to want to call the police?
You know, there's a level of pride there. We live in a society where, as a gay man, you are considered somehow to be weak. And I'm not weak. I am not weak. And we are, as a people, are not weak. So I can accept that there was pride there. There's also privacy. You know, at the end of the day, look what has happened. You know, look what has happened. So I'm glad that Frank called the police. I'm glad that we reported it.
Okay, so again, I have problems with this answer from Jussie. You didn't call the police because of pride. That don't make any sense to me. If you're a genuine victim, I said this before in some of my other videos, if you're a genuine victim and you think that the police won't believe your story, file your report anyway. It's for your own benefit. Why would you not? Think about and worry about whether the police or your family or your friends or anybody else out there for that matter believe your story. What you need to do is file a report and get your information down on file. Later on, if you feel that, you know, there's been injustice against you in terms of how the police or any other legal department deal with your case, then at least you have some evidence, you know, some paper trail to say, well, I came in on such a date and such a time at such a location at the police and reported my incident, and they took their time, they dragged their heels, or they did nothing, whatever the case may be. At least you have substance, you have something to go on to fight your case. But for you not, you know, going to the police and reporting it is really doing yourself a disservice, and it's not really a wise choice, to be honest. So that is at best a very flimsy answer to me.
The phone.
Mm-hmm.
When did you, because as you said, it was an accurate account
Mm-hmm.
of the timeline, valuable information. When did you make that information available to the police?
We had to give the phone records, which they didn't originally ask for my phone records. They asked for my phone. They wanted me to give my phone to the tech for 3 to 4 hours. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that.
Why?
Because I have private pictures and videos and numbers, my partner's number, my family's number, my castmates' number, my friends' numbers, my private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos. I don't know what that's gonna be to hand over my phone for, and honestly, by then, inaccurate, false statements had already been put out there.
I really have to laugh. Let me calm down. I really have to laugh at this answer that Jussie gave. And I'll tell you why. I'm a qualified software engineer. Let me tell you something for those who don't know. There is no such thing as confidentiality or privacy on your phone or any mobile device or any device that can connect to the internet. Period. I don't care what you think you have, what kind of firewall or security features you have. There is no such thing as privacy and confidentiality on your device. So let's just get that clear. The police don't need your phone to get all the information they need from your phone. They can subpoena your network provider and get all that information. So if there's any photographs on your compromising photographs on your phone or pictures, any text messages, voicemails, memos, who called you, who you called, when they called, how long they called, how long was the conversation, how often do they call. They can get all that information without even being a mile near your phone. They don't need your phone to get that information. Okay? So if the police is asking you for your phone, it means they already suspect that you're lying. And they just basically, it seems as if they were testing Jussie to see what he would do. Because they can get that information from the network provider and they can get the information from your internet provider. So between your network provider of your mobile device and your internet provider that you use if you're on Wi-Fi and so on, they can get all the information they can get. They can pull it straight off your phone. Switching off your phone don't make any difference. Taking the battery out of your phone still don't make any difference. And that's a fact.
Earlier this week, he submitted phone records from within an hour of the incident, but Chicago police said they were limited and heavily redacted, adding they need additional information to corroborate the investigative timeline. His attorneys tell us they are willing to cooperate. Smollett also says he has been troubled by inaccurate claims. What other ones had you heard that were inaccurate?
That I had said that they were wearing MAGA hats. I never said that. I didn't need to add anything like that. They called me a They called me a There's no which way you cut it. I don't need some MAGA hat as the cherry on top of some racist sundae. I've heard that it was a date gone bad, which I so resent that narrative. I'm not gonna go out and get a tuna sandwich at a salad to meet somebody. That's ridiculous, and it's offensive. Yes, there's Grindr, yes, there's Jacked, yes, there's all of these things, which I have not been on in years. I can admit that I was on that back in the day. I was single, you know what I'm saying? But I have not been on that in years. But aside from that, it's offensive, and I absolutely resent that narrative because it's bull. It's bull. And it's unfair. It's unfair to the investigation. It's unfair to, I hate this word, but it's unfair to the victim.
Oh man, I shouldn't be laughing. This is crazy. Is this guy for real? Seriously, I chose to believe Jussie Smollett. I really do. I believed him because I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Innocent until proven guilty. He went where I didn't expect him to go. It's unfair for the victim. But here's the thing, according to the police, you're not a victim. Wow. I'm stunned for words here. I mean, this guy's really doubling. He's really fighting. He's coming out fighting and swinging from his corner. But, this is what I'll say to Jussie. I think, mate, you should just come out. If you know you're wrong and all this has been orchestrated by you, I think you should just come out and apologize to the public and apologize to your fans and your family and friends and just take whatever the punishment is and move on. I'm not going to go any further in this video because I just think I'll be here all day and I've heard enough, to be honest. I mean, I've already watched this video from beginning to end already. I'm just going through it a second time, obviously as a reaction for you guys and give my points of view as I go along. But I'm really not going to go any further because it doesn't get any better. It just sort of gets worse and downhill from here. But what I'll say is apologize and move on, mate. Now, is he supposed to be charged for what he's done? Yes. Is he supposed to be punished? Yes. Here's the question, though. Should he go to prison? I don't think so. Community service, maybe a fine or both. I think that's, adequate for the crime in this case, or the felony in this case. But then here's another question: how about the brothers, Ola and Abel? Should they be charged as well and for felony? My answer to that is yes. They were party to the crime. They took part. They participated in it. So whereas their punishment might be lesser or a less punishment, they should also be fined. Maybe not as much as Jussie, but they should be fined too. They should also do some form of community service punishment. Maybe not for the length of time or as intense as Jussie, but you can't punish one party and not the others, and all of them were equally guilty and participated in the alleged felony. So to me, the system would be exactly what Jussie is pointing it out to be: flawed and dodgy. If 3 people go on a robbery and you prosecute one and let the other 2 scot-free, and they all went in there waving their guns and terrifying customers or terrifying the public, you would expect that they all equally get some kind of punishment. Okay, some might get more harsher punishment than others depending on the part they play and what they did, but you don't expect them to walk scot-free. And with that said, I'm going to do another video actually where I talk about, actually no, I'm not going to do another video. I think I'll just address it here. Let me just address it quickly, and this is the last point I'm going to address. This video is going to be long, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And that is, someone tell me what is a snitch. Okay, here's my definition of what a snitch is. Someone who goes along in a group, they commit some kind of crime or felony together, they're all party to it, they all take part in it, and one get caught or several of them get caught, and 1 or 2 members decide to snitch, tell on the others in order to get a lesser sentence, a lesser punishment, or to walk free without any punishment. Either way, that is what a snitch is to me. So if I see a crime taking place and I report it to the police, I'm not a snitch because I wasn't taking part in the crime. I'm not a part of the gang or a part of the group. I didn't participate in the crime. So as a civilian, as a citizen, I'm just reporting a crime. So I'm not a snitch. But if I'm in that group and I'm running and riding with that group, and then we get caught and I then snitch and tell on the rest of my friends, then that's snitching. That's the point I'm trying to make. So in this case, Abel and Ola would be classed as snitches because they took part in this felony. They took part in this whole orchestrated event. And then when they get caught and they got questioned by the police, they snitched. They said, well, it wasn't us, it was Jussie. He orchestrated the whole thing. He paid us money. And they were all motivated by money. That's the other thing that's come out of this police report. That allegedly, Jussie did all this orchestration because he wanted to, get an increase in salary from Empire. And this was the way he wanted to go about doing it, which is very crazy and strange. I'm trying not to laugh. But that's what he decided to do. And then the brothers, allegedly they took part in it because they were paid, some to the tune of $3,000 or $3,500. They were paid this money, which is quite a small amount, to be honest, given the risks. But they agreed to do it for this amount of money. They were even given $100 or something, it's alleged, that they went to the store and purchased all the paraphernalia that they wanted to use in this fake, mugging or hate crime or whatever. So to me, they were all motivated for money. They all agreed with it and they all went ahead with it. Apparently Jussie reportedly asked them, "Do you trust me?" And they responded with, "Yes, we trust you." So there's the agreement right there, the word bond, if you like. So with all that in place, I would say the brothers are snitches. It's no different than 6ix9ine situation where he got in trouble with the Treyway and whatever, and the racketeering and whatever. But then when he got scooped up and he got dragged down to the police station, then he snitched, and then he gets to walk free, and reportedly he's going to be under some witness protection, while the rest of the people that including the guys that he allegedly paid to commit some kind of crime, they serve time in jail, possibly not going to come out for a very long time, if at all, while he gets to walk free. So a lot of people in the public eye sees that as snitching. So if you see that as snitching between 6ix9ine and Treyway, then isn't it snitching between the Nigerian brothers, you know, Ola and Abel, and Jussie? To me, it's the same thing. One person paid for the crime to be committed, but in this case, it's reversed. The person who is paying for the orchestration, it seems as if they're the one that's being hunted, and the persons that committed the act are being you know, not punished, or they're being ignored, so to speak. Whereas in the 6ix9ine case, he's been released, where he was the one with the money and the bread, and the person that committed the acts, allegedly, they're the ones that's being punished. So this is why I'm saying, where a lot of people from the public perception, the legal system is completely broken. I've mentioned this before, even when I covered the part 1 to 4 in the you know, the R. Kelly case. The legal system is broken. All the people top to bottom in the legal system know it's broken, but they're all just kicking the can down the road, you know, leave it to the next whatever to sort it out. It will never get sorted out. So it's broken, and this situation with Jussie is another inadvertent exposure of a system being broken. I mean, even though Jussie did allude to this himself, but it is broken, because if they don't punish the two brothers, and because they snitched on Jussie means they walk absolutely free, then I'm sitting here scratching my head like, hang on a second, but they agreed to do it. They took part, and they also went along with it until the pressure was put upon them, or once they realized the police were on them, then they folded very quickly and gave up the information, which will be seen in the streets. Unless I'm wrong, in the streets, that will be seen as snitching. So, but no one in the public domain, social media don't seem to be roasting the brothers, but they seem to be roasting Jussie. I'm not saying Jussie doesn't deserve the roasting he's getting. Of course he deserves it. But then what about the brothers? They should equally be getting roasting as well, or getting roasted as well. So that's just my point in it. You know, what I leave the rest of you to debate this thing. It's just one crazy roller coaster, this Jussie situation. And I'll close by saying, you know, I've got a very hoarse throat, and you probably notice it throughout the whole of this commentary. You know, I'm just kind of battling a cold, and you know, it's struggling for me, but I couldn't miss this because this is so crazy. So crazy. I'm out.